welcome to the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports, and this is my son, Henry Paur. On today's show, we are going to be talking about the 2020 NFL Draft. We're going to talk about all the fantasy implications, from players that are currently on NFL rosters to players that were just drafted and what their impact could be on the coming season. So, Henry, are you excited to do that today?
Yes, I am.
All right, before I get to that, though, I did want to mention, go to RealTime Fantasy Sports if you want to get in a league today. It's rtsports.com. We have all sorts of leagues to offer everybody out there, our famous commissioner service, but also we do tons of different leagues, best ball leagues. We have a new best ball league this year called the Dime Best Ball, just $10 to get in. So that's super cheap if you want to get in a best ball league for a good price point, but we have different price points all across the board. We have high-stake leagues. We have these All-American leagues that are very popular as well. So go to rtsports.com. At the top of the page, there is a link for football. Click on that, and then you click on Money Leagues, and you can see all the different leagues we have to offer. Now, Henry, let's get into this NFL draft. Before we talk about that, though, what did you think about the draft, the format this year, how they did it online?
I thought they presented it very well. It was a very well-operated draft. I mean, went pretty smoothly.
It did. Surprisingly, it went smoothly. We did not get to hear as many boos for Roger Goodell, which was one of the disappointments for us, though, correct?
Yeah.
It's always good to hear Roger Goodell get booed roundly. It was soundly, I should say. It was kind of funny, though. I thought as the draft went on, it looked like he was getting worn down pretty good. He was there for a long time. And by the end of that draft, man, he looked like he was in a little bit of rough shape. What do you think?
Yeah, he was.
All right, let's get into this now. Oh, okay, one thing I did want to mention, though, before we get into the draft, just have your expectations a little bit tempered when it comes to rookies. I don't want to rain on everybody's parade about what we're going to talk about here, but let's look at last season. Last year, Kyler Murray was the top overall pick, and he finished 6th overall in fantasy quarterback scoring. That's very good, but outside of him, there was not another rookie quarterback inside the top 20 in fantasy quarterback scoring. Daniel Jones was 21st. Running back, the only running back in the top 20 in fantasy running back scoring, Miles Sanders. I think everybody thought Josh Jacobs had a great year last year. He was still just 21st in fantasy running back scoring. So have your expectations a little tempered. I'll talk about the receiver position here as well. A.J. Brown, he was the top rookie receiver last year, just 22nd overall in fantasy receiver scoring. So he's a low-end number 2 fantasy receiver with that scoring. DK Metcalf was 29th, McLaurin 30th, Deebo Samuel 31st. So as you can see, none of those guys had huge fantasy impacts. You can't expect these guys to come in and make huge impacts. There will be some that will do it, but for the most part, these guys will be more players on the, that aren't going to be hugely impactful to your team. At the tight end spot, don't want to forget that, Noah Fant, 14th overall in fantasy tight end scoring. Not bad, but he wasn't even a number 1 tight end, just more of a spot starter. So, again, just have your expectations tempered. Don't litter your team with rookies. That can be a big mistake. You want to get some, though. There's going to be guys that come through and have big seasons. All right, Henry, with that said, out of the way, first thing I want to talk about, players that have added value because of what their teams didn't do in the draft. So these are players who probably didn't lose a job because a rookie was drafted, something along those lines, or a trade as well. There's a lot of trades that happen in the draft. So there's some players that fit that category. Anybody stand out to you, Henry?
I would say Gardner Minshew. The Jaguars did not draft the quarterback at all. They didn't trade for one, so he's the guy right now. So
I'm going to stick with Jacksonville too, Henry. I like the Minshew call. He does look like the guy, and we know he had some big games last year. Leonard Fournette, everybody talked about Jacksonville maybe moving him during the draft. Didn't happen. They didn't take a running back, so Fournette's looking pretty good again right now. He's going to get a lot of carries in that offense. They like to run the ball. He could be a top 10 fantasy back once again. Henry, anybody else fit that category for you?
I would say Todd Gurley. The Falcons show faith in Gurley without drafting one, and he's a starter and franchise back right now. So there you go.
All right, that's a good call. I'm going to say somebody that might be a little bit of a surprise, but I think it was a good thing for him for this year. Jarrett Stidham. I know that a lot of talk New England was going to draft a quarterback, maybe even trade for one. They still could at this point. But right now, all Stidham has for competition is Brian Hoyer. Yes, Brian Hoyer, Henry. That's not a lot of competition. So Stidham looks like the guy right now in New England. Could end up posting some decent fantasy numbers. So that's a guy that I think was helped in this draft by by the Patriots not really addressing the quarterback position or trading for it. All right, next category I want to talk about, kind of the flip side. These are NFL players right now currently that were on rosters before the draft that saw their value go up because of the draft. So maybe they added some pieces, some receivers, or maybe the offensive line got better, so the running back's looking a little more attractive this year. Who do you think are some players that have some added value after this draft, Henry?
I would say one of my favorite players, Drew Lock. The Broncos are the first 2 picks drafted Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. So they drafted a bunch of 2 wide receivers with their first picks, and the starter and slot receiver, and they also drafted Albert O in the 4th round, who actually played with Drew Lock in college. So
yeah, you're a big Drew Lock fan. You have a jersey shirt of Drew Lock. You like him. He's a Mizzou guy. We're from Missouri here. We live in St. Louis, but we followed Lock throughout his college career, and I agree. I think his stock's going way up after that draft. They went all in and trying to help him. Another guy that really got a lot of help, Dak Prescott. They take CeeDee Lamb, big surprise that he fell to the Cowboys. So now Prescott gets 3 top receivers to throw the ball to, still has Ezekiel Elliott, still has a very good offensive line. I know a lot of people have moved Prescott all the way up to 3 in the rankings. I haven't just yet. I still have Kyler Murray at 3 and Prescott at 4, but man, Prescott's looking good for this coming year. How about another guy that fits this category of being helped by the draft?
I would say Saquon Barkley. The Giants needed real bad offensive line help last year. This year, with their 4th pick, they took left tackle Andrew Thomas in the 1st round. So I think that's a great pickup, and it should help Barkley. And actually maybe a little bit Daniel Jones in the pocket. So
Yeah, I think Barkley might be a guy that I don't think he's going to be overlooked this year, but last year he played with some injuries. Now they got a new offensive line, Daniel Jones in year 2. I think Barkley's set up for a really big season. Another guy for me that I think got helped in this draft is Derek Carr. I know a lot of people aren't very high on Carr. He's kind of been erratic, but they like to throw the ball in Oakland. Derek Carr has a whole new receiver core. I mean, they basically revamped the whole thing. There could be 3 rookies starting for them this year. Took Henry Ruggs in the 1st round. I like Edwards a lot too. I think he's a very good receiver that is not going to, he's going to hold up well to the press coverage, I should say, which is something that rookie receivers tend to struggle with, but I don't think Edwards is going to have trouble with that. He could start right away. So I like what Las Vegas, I should say, did in the draft. Hard to say Las Vegas, got to get used to that one, but I think Carr saw his stock go up with that, with all their moves in the draft. All right, next category I want to talk about. Players that saw their value take a hit because of the draft. So these are guys that were on an NFL team, and now their value could be going down a little bit because of the draft. Henry, who do you got in that category?
I have my first one, Michael Gallup. I would say they drafted CeeDee Lamb, who's going to complicate things for Gallup, and he's going to have to compete with targets for him. So Gallup's going to take a hit there.
Yep, I definitely agree with that. We talked about how it was good for Prescott getting CeeDee Lamb, but not so good for Michael Gallup, who had a breakout season last year, seems set up for big things this year. Might not happen. Marlon Mack, for me, Jonathan Taylor was taken in the 2nd round. A lot of people thought Taylor was the most complete back in the draft. So this is a guy that's probably going to step in, start right away. Mack has played pretty well at times for Indianapolis, but now it looks like he moves to more of a secondary role. I'm not sure he's even going to be a platoon guy. I think he's going to be more of a secondary option. It's going to be Taylor's show in Indianapolis, so I think that's really going to hurt Mack. Who else you got, Henry, that saw their fantasy value take a hit because of this draft?
I would say Aaron Rodgers. The Packers added little help at receiver for him, which they really needed. Instead, in the 1st round, they drafted a quarterback, which is just a backup for Rodgers, who might not start for a while because Rodgers.
Is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Pretty baffling what Green Bay did in the draft, not getting Rodgers some help. They were really close to making it to the Super Bowl last year, and now I don't know what's going to happen. It could be a messy situation. Who knows? For me, another guy I don't like after this draft, Mark Ingram. Ravens took J.K. Dobbins. I think Dobbins is kind of a Ingram-type clone. Could end up being better than him, in my opinion. Might not start this year. I think it'd still be Ingram's job, but he's going to lose out on work to Dobbins, and he already lost out on work to some other backs last year, so I don't think it's good for Ingram at all. And I'll give you another running back, too, I don't like after this draft, Kerryon Johnson. Lions took DeAndre Swift. I think Swift might have been the most NFL ready back in this draft.
Yeah.
So he's going to come in. I think he's a 3-down back. Johnson's had trouble staying healthy. I think that's the main reason that the Lions went another direction at running back, which I guess makes sense. If you can't stay on the field, you can't play. So Swift's the guy now, and I like his ceiling. I think he could end up being pretty good. All right, next category, players in the draft that landed in good spots for their fantasy value. So these are guys that were drafted this year, could come right in and make a fantasy impact. Who do you got, Henry?
I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He just got drafted by the Chiefs in the first round. He's a starter and a great offense. They went and won the Super Bowl last year. He's a very good pass catcher, and he's going to be a great fit for the offense because they love to run the ball. So I think that's going to be a big help for the Chiefs offense.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a great spot for Helaire. I like his potential. I think he could be very good. A lot of people comparing him to Maurice Jones-Drew. Keep hearing that thrown around, and if that happens, watch out. I think he could be the most impactful rookie running back. Another rookie running back I like his landing spot, Cam Akers. I don't like Malcolm Brown, Darrell Henderson very well. I think this is a good spot for Akers. I think he's a good fit for the offense. He catches the ball well out of the backfield, which is something the Rams like to do, like to throw to their backs. So I think Akers is going to come in, start right away. He's a talented player, could get the goal line work. So I think this is a great spot for Akers. He could challenge Helaire there for the top fantasy rookie back in the game. Another player you like, Henry, from the draft for fantasy purposes this year.
I like Denzel Mims. He's a great athlete that can make the acrobatic catch. Has next to no competition to start, and should have a good first season in New York.
Yeah, I like Mims too. He went a little after some of the top receivers, but he's going to get a chance to start right away in New York. Like you said, doesn't have much competition. Another receiver, I think, similar boat, Justin Jefferson. He's going to come in, start right away from Minnesota. Stephon Diggs is gone. Jefferson's a very talented receiver, caught a ton of passes at LSU. I know he worked out of the slot there, and I know Thielen likes to work out of the slot too in Minnesota, so that's a little bit of a concern how they use Jefferson. But I really think Jefferson has a legit shot to finish first overall in fantasy rookie receiver scoring this year. Another guy you got another guy, Henry. How about another receiver that you like this year?
I have Jerry Jeudy for the Broncos. He's super talented. He's a great route runner with good speed and hands. He just looks like the part of a top NFL receiver. So I think it's a great spot for him to land with a good pass offense.
Your buddy Drew Lock gets another weapon too. You talked about him already. So Jerry Jeudy, good spot for him. I like Brandon Ayuk with San Francisco, another receiver. He would have went higher if not for his injury issue. I think he's super talented, kind of a good fit for the San Francisco offense. Big, strong, physical, can make plays after the catch. I think he'll start right away. I think he could end up being a big surprise for a lot of fantasy teams this year. Be worth a look as a reserve player. All right, Henry, the flip side. How about some rookies? Didn't land in great spots. Might not do very well this year because of where they landed.
I would say J.K. Dobbins for the Ravens. Mark Ingram's still the starter. He's a great halfback. So there's a lot to compete for in Baltimore. So it could be an up and down year for Dobbins.
Yeah, I agree. Another running back, too, I liked a lot coming out of college. I thought he could be a productive pro is Zach Moss. But he ends up in Buffalo. Devin Singletary's the man. I thought Moss could be a 3-down back in the NFL. But with Singletary there, Singletary's going to start. He's going to get a lot of the work. Moss could be more than just a compliment, end up getting a few more carries, cut into Singletary's work. But this isn't a great spot for Moss to be a huge fantasy factor in year one. So not sure he's going to do much. Another player, Henry, that you don't think is going to be a huge impactful rookie this year.
CeeDee Lamb, who got drafted by the Cowboys. He already has Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and Zeke to compete with for targets and attention of the ball. I mean, he's likely to have some big games because he's a really acrobatic rookie, but he's got a lot to compete for there in Dallas.
Yeah, he'll be up and down. Probably could have landed in a better spot from fantasy purposes, but for the team, good spot for Dallas to get him, but from fantasy, not so much. I'll give you two QBs. I think this is obvious, but Jalen Hurts, he goes to Philadelphia. They have Carson Wentz. He's their starter. They have him locked up for several years, so just kind of strange. Another kind of Green Bay move here. I don't know what they're going to end up doing with Hurts. Maybe they use him like Taysom Hill. That's all I can think of. That might make the most sense. Use him as a runner, receiver, few chances to pass the ball. Just really strange spot for Hurts to make much of an impact. Same thing with Jordan Love. Could be the starter, might not be for 3-4 seasons though, unless Aaron Rodgers is forced out, which could happen with after hearing some stuff going on this week with the coach not being too happy with Rodgers. So not good spots for either of these QBs. Both of them are talented. Both of them had a chance to make an impact this first year in the league, but not going to happen now.
Yeah.
All right, Henry, that's the draft to recap here. We went over a lot, gave you guys a lot to think about. We are updating the rankings on the site as we speak with all these rookies. I'm working on our draft guide, doing all the bios, all the projected stats. It's getting updated. Hopefully that is all done by the end of the week, and we have all our rankings and projections updated. So I'm excited about that. A lot of guys moving around because of this draft, but you definitely have to pay attention. But like I said, don't get too crazy enamored with these rookies. A lot of them don't make a huge impact this first year in the league, right?
Yeah.
All right, Henry, you having a good week? Is everything going well?
Yeah, it is.
All right. That's all we got on the show today. Oh, yeah, don't forget, this is new to me, all this YouTube stuff and podcast as well. Like and subscribe to this video. If you like what you see, if you want to keep getting content from us, you want to like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. Same thing with the podcast. You can do the same thing. You can subscribe to that. I know we had a big following last year on the podcast. Very excited about that. But you can subscribe to that as well, so you get every time one of these videos or podcasts come out, you can get it. So like and subscribe. We appreciate you tuning in and viewing us. Everybody have a great day and stay safe out there. Thanks, guys.